The Nissan Leaf is the first mass-produced EV in any market. The Leaf proved to be quite successful because Nissan went on to design the second-generation Leaf that we have here. Will this second-generation Leaf become a success in the Philippine market? It's time for us to find out. Let's do this. Hello guys, I'm Reagan and welcome back to another car review. If you're new to my channel, I hope you click that subscribe button and become part of the Reagan Strides family. If you're my subscriber already, thank you so much for your support by watching this video. I truly appreciate it. Also, special thanks to Nissan Otes of the Gateway Group for giving us this opportunity to film the second generation Nissan Leaf. If you want a Nissan, well, head on down here to Nissan Otes and check them out. The Nissan Leaf is meant to be a low-cost, affordable EV option for people who love the environment. That low-cost nature is mainly because of its low running costs, because these things don't consume fuel and they don't even use motor oil. However, the entry price is normally quite steep, but richer nations use government subsidies and tax incentives to encourage people to buy electric vehicles. In the US, for example, this second-generation Leaf retails for only 1,700,000 Philippine pesos because of federal incentives and subsidies, as I mentioned. Here in the Philippines, however, we don't really get any of these government subsidies, so nature lovers in the Philippines will have to pay the full entry price. This second-generation Leaf has a retail price of 2,798,000 Philippine pesos, which I must admit is eye-watering, but let's see in this video if this Nissan Leaf has what it takes to justify that steep price. Now, the Nissan Leaf may have arrived in the Philippines 10 years too late, but this time around, being late is a huge advantage because the first generation Leaf looked like a weird frog. This second generation looks more like a normal car, which I like so much. Now, when you look at the front grille of this second-generation Leaf, you get Nissan's corporate V-Motion front grille here, although it's important to know that this is not a front grille. Rather, this is a design piece because like most other electric vehicles, the Leaf doesn't need an open front grille to cool down a radiator because it doesn't really have a radiator. Now, the nose of the Leaf also has its charging port, similar to other EVs out there, like the Chery Arrizo 5 EV. The Leaf also gets halogen headlights here and halogen fog lights, but we do have LED DRLs. Now, when you look at the front fascia of this Leaf, it's sleek and sporty, and it's also quite slippery because the second generation Leaf has a coefficient of drag of 0.28, making this thing efficiently cut through the air, thus helping extend its range. The Nissan Leaf gets a blacked-out A-pillar here and a blacked-out roof, which is a pretty popular modern design trend nowadays. Now, if you look at the side profile of the Leaf, you'll see that it's as large as a Ford Focus or a Volkswagen Golf. Yeah, Volkswagen Golf. But if you look at the roofline, you'll see that the roofline is taller than both vehicles to help compensate for the headroom because the battery pack of the Leaf is found underneath its floorboard. Now, the Leaf also gets a blacked-out power folding side mirror here with LED turn signals, and for your wheels and tires, you get 16-inch wheels that are wrapped in 205/55 R16 tires. Now, behind these wheels, you get four-wheel disc brakes, which also help to regenerate some lost energy and help extend the range of the Nissan Leaf. For your ground clearance, you got 150 millimeters of ground clearance, which is good enough to go through a light flood. And in case you're curious if an EV or the Nissan Leaf can go through a light flood without electrocuting you, well, yes, it can. Now, that doesn't mean, though, that you can just go river crossing with your Nissan Leaf. That's what the Nissan Patrol is for. The Nissan Leaf gets a gorgeous rear end, at least for an electric vehicle. I love these V-shaped LED taillights here, and the way these blacked out bits extend all the way to the top half of your liftgate and connects it to your blacked out rear spoiler and your blacked out roof, which is a design that truly appeals to me, guys. Now the Leaf doesn't get any tailpipes, of course, but we do get these rear diffuser fins here to further aid in its aerodynamics. Now pop open the liftgate and you'll be treated to the class leader when it comes to trunk space for these EV hatchbacks. The Leaf gets 435 liters of cargo capacity, which is good enough for a medium-sized luggage and the second one beside it, plus some other carry-on stuff on top. So that is a pretty decent amount of space for an EV hatchback. Now, if you need more space than 435 liters, we can tumble down the second row seats, and that will give you 1,176 liters of cargo capacity. Now, that's pretty decent for an EV hatchback, making the Nissan Leaf quite a practical EV for Filipino nature lovers. The second generation Leaf takes advantage of 5 years worth of EV development. This is a standard Leaf which has a 40 kilowatt-hour electric motor that translates to 148 horses and 320 Newton meters of torque. Now that torque is available from standstill, which is similar to other EVs. Now, more than the power though, the most vital information here is the range. This second generation standard Nissan Leaf gets around 300 kilometers worth of range, making it perfect for Philippine cities. You see, our cities here are small, and our driving here is mostly stop-and-go driving, mostly stop then go. So using your brakes all the time, well, will help regenerate more energy and extend the Nissan Leaf's range. Now, the Leaf can also be charged in any standard wall socket, but charging time would take around 18 hours to reach a full charge. Now, that's a pretty long time, guys, so Nissan Leaf owners would do well to avail of the optional wall box charger, which cuts it down to 7.5 hours. However, that would set you back another 123,000 Philippine pesos. Now, the biggest hurdle here is the lack of public charging stations. Now, hopefully in the future, Nissan and the Philippine government can work together to build us an EV infrastructure, at least in our major cities. Step inside the Leaf and you could see that this is still a mass market EV. The cabin is surrounded by black plastic, although granted we get some nice soft touch materials in the high traffic areas like the middle dashboard here with this nice contrast blue stitching, and we also have some nice soft touch materials here on your door cards and also on your center console. However, well, it is still a mass market EV, so don't expect to get too much luxuries here. Starting with the seats, you get fabric seats here, but these are Nissan's famous zero-gravity seats. And having been an owner of a Nissan X-Trail with zero-gravity seats for the past 6 years, I can tell you guys that yes, these zero-gravity seats, they truly work. You won't get too tired when you're taking a long drive as long as you keep that long drive within 300 kilometers, because otherwise you'd be in big trouble if you took your Nissan Leaf. Now, when you look at the steering wheel here is nicely wrapped in leather, and you've got some nice blue contrast stitching here, and we also have a flat bottom for an added sporty flavor. The wheel also has the hands-free buttons for connectivity, and we also have intelligent cruise control, which is Nissan's fancy way of saying adaptive cruise control. Now, the wheel, however, only tilts. As you can see, it doesn't really telescope, guys, so that's a bit of a bummer and a bit of a reminder again that we are still in a mass market EV. Now, when you look at your instrument gauge cluster here, you get all the vital information you need from an electric vehicle. We have an analog speedometer here and a large colored LED screen that shows you the different information about your car, like the battery capacity or the range, and you also have charging time, or a tachometer, which shows you if you're driving economically or not. It's a pretty decent instrument gauge cluster here for an EV. Now, when you look at the infotainment system, we get an 8-inch touchscreen infotainment system here, which has Bluetooth connectivity. It also has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Now, this infotainment screen also houses the image for Nissan's Around View monitor, which is also Nissan Speak for a 360-degree camera. Now, this is one of the nicest things about, these Nissan offerings, because this is truly helpful, guys. Now, going down from your infotainment system, you also have an automatic climate control system here. You have that nice eco-friendly looking engine start button and a couple of charging outlets, a 12-volt and a USB charging port. Now, when you go to the gear shifter of the Leaf is pretty similar to other EVs, which means that you only get a few options. We have the park, neutral, reverse, and drive. Now, the Leaf is being powered by a single gear, so that's why you only have, just that one drive. It's low gear, it's high gear, it's everything, okay? Now, you could also toggle your Leaf to work on an EPedal. Now, the EPedal is a pretty fancy piece of tech, guys, because, that means that you just need to step on one pedal to either make your EV go or stop. Kind of weird, and I'm looking forward to testing it out later in our drive impression to see if it will really work in Manila roads. Now, thankfully, Nissan also equipped this standard Nissan Leaf we get in the Philippines with a full suite of safety features, and that's always a good thing, guys. Now, this is gonna be a mouthful, so I might need my script here. Yeah, so Nissan gave the Leaf the Intelligent Mobility Suite. It gets dual front, side, and curtain airbags. We've got ABS with EBD, and it also has brake assist. It has stability control, a tire pressure monitoring system, and to add on top of that, we also get hill start assist, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, and lane departure warning. And of course, that aforementioned Leaf EPedal, which makes you just step on one pedal. Well, it's nice to see, guys, that despite paying the full entry price of the Nissan Leaf, Leaf owners would still get the full suite of safety features, which is always vital when it comes to any vehicle. The second row seats of the Nissan Leaf is pretty average for a normal city hatchback. Now, having said that, guys, I'm 5'6", and as you can see, this is around 3 inches worth of knee room for me and around 4 inches of headroom. You see, despite the higher roofline of the Leaf, we have the battery pack underneath the floorboard, so that means that the seats are mounted a bit higher up. I also noticed that my sitting position is pretty similar to that of a second row seat of a dual cab pickup. You see, my knees are a bit higher than my hips because of that battery pack under the floorboard. However, it's important to note, guys, that despite being a bit on the tight side, the seats of the second row are nice and soft, and these are pretty comfortable seats once you get used to the position of having your knees higher than your hips. Now, for toys, guys, the Nissan Leaf is still a mass market EV, and you could really see that here in the back seat. You don't get too much toys here. In fact, you don't get any toys at all, except for ISOFIX anchors. We don't get a rear AC vent, we don't have a center armrest, we don't have cup holders, and we don't even have a USB charging port. Now, that is pretty weird, considering that the Nissan Leaf is pretty much an oversized power bank which can power a Christmas tree. But we don't even get any USB charging ports here at the back. So, too bad. Anyway, let's take this Nissan Leaf out for a spin and see how it performs in real Philippine road conditions. Alright, guys, so we're now behind the wheel of the Nissan Leaf, and we have a pretty wide open road in front of us, and we know the acceleration of an electric vehicle, so let's try it right now. Oops, there's a police car. Alright, woo, woo. Again. Wow. Alright, just like any other electric vehicle, the Nissan Leaf's acceleration is brisk. And that is one of the things that you get with this vehicle. This is pretty awesome, guys. Now, aside from that stiff acceleration that you normally expect from an electric vehicle with 320 Newton meters of torque from standstill, another characteristic of the Nissan Leaf is the fact that the NVH is superb. You would not hear the sound of a combustion motor because we don't have a combustion engine here. This thing is so quiet that when I started this car, I had to double check that it's actually on because you don't hear anything. That's another good characteristic of these electric vehicles. Now, understandably, one of the things that would cause some form of concern amongst potential Leaf owners is range anxiety. Now, of course, you'll have to plan your trips quite well because this could only top out at, let's say, 311 kilometers of range. Now, having said that, well, this is a perfect city vehicle because, well, as I mentioned, Manila cities are very tiny, whereas it's small. So with a 311 kilometer maximum range, you wouldn't really have much range anxiety because typically you'd probably have to charge this thing once a week if you're just staying around the city. But if you're planning to go on a long drive, that might not be feasible even if, let's say, it's a Manila to Baguio trip, because once you get to Baguio, there's really no public charging stations there. So you'll have to plug this thing, let's say, in the resort or a hotel socket, which would take 18 hours. So while it's charging, what would you use for, let's say, going around Baguio? Nothing, yeah? So yeah, as long as we don't have that public charging stations in place, well, the Nissan Leaf would be a pure city car, as it is here in the Philippines. Now, another concern of most of these prospective Leaf owners would be the durability of the battery. Well, Nissan offers an 8-year warranty on the battery, but the thing is, you all know that the Nissan Leaf was introduced in 2010. So you've got some Leafs that are more than 8 years old. And I'm happy to report to you guys that some of these first generation Nissan Leafs, the 2011, 2012 models, well, they're already over the 8-year battery warranty period, but the level of charge that their batteries could still do, it's still pretty close to 100%. So that speaks a lot about the way Nissan engineered these Leaf batteries. These things are really durable, and the fact that we have a second generation Leaf right here, well, that means that we have a more advanced form of battery underneath this car. Now, when it comes to overall maintenance of the Nissan Leaf, that's where the low-cost motoring comes in. You see, the Nissan Leaf doesn't use motor oil. You don't need to do tune-ups. You don't need to do anything to the electric motor or even to the battery. So the only maintenance you'd be doing here would probably be changing the tires and also, well, changing the 12-volt battery, which the Nissan Leaf still has, surprisingly enough, and it uses that to start the car. But other than that 12-volt battery and the tires, there's really no other, well, there's really no other maintenance concern that you need to do. Well, of course, brake pads and stuff. But yeah, that makes this car a very low maintenance or low cost of maintenance vehicle. Oh, and an added bonus, guys. Now, some of you might be concerned about the electricity consumption of the Nissan Leaf. Well, if you just charge this thing once a week, like you're just doing regular city driving, well, then you only would need to expect to add like around 500 pesos or $10 per month to your electricity bill. So considering that a regular gasoline-powered vehicle going the same city route would probably consume maybe 10 to 15,000 pesos worth of gasoline, well, that by itself is already a huge amount of savings. All right, guys, so now we're stopped right here in the middle of the road actually, because we're going to try the EPedal feature of the Nissan Leaf. The EPedal feature just uses one pedal, the go pedal. I couldn't call it a gas pedal because we don't have gas. A go pedal to make the car go or make the car stop. So let's try it. All right, let's go. Okay, so it doesn't really accelerate as fast as if you're not engaged in the EPedal, right? it feels like I'm driving a golf car of all things. Alright, so let's try it. Okay, so we still have a nice open road in front of us. So there's no reason for me to let go of the pedal, but as I slightly ease off, it's starting to slow down. And apparently, okay, so here we have a truck that's about to make a go inside our lane. No, he doesn't want to go inside. Okay, okay, there we go. Wow, we're just stopped. I'm not using the brake pedal, guys. Although the Tito in me was instinctively going to the brake. You see, I'm a certified Tito of Manila, guys. Certified Tito of Manila here, and normally your right foot would instinctively go and try to touch the brake pedal, but I'll try to stop that. Okay, we're going to a stoplight right here. Okay, okay. Oh, the car is slowing down. That is so cool. Oh my goodness. All right, and we're coming to a full stop. Guys and girls, I did not step on the brake pedal and we came to a full stop. Now, it feels like the car is heavier because, of course, as if you're using the EPedal, that means that you couldn't just, accelerate quickly because the car needs some space to react just in case it needs to do a complete stop. But if you're the type who would just like to drive in a relaxing way, well, that EPedal, it's actually pretty good. It's pretty decent. Overall, guys, the Nissan Leaf is pretty much the perfect city car. You get zero emissions, you got a very low maintenance cost, but unfortunately, guys, with the lack of a government subsidy when it comes to the price of entry and the fact that we don't really have a robust EV infrastructure in the Philippines, well, it seems that this Nissan Leaf will have to remain a novelty for, well, rich nature lovers in the Philippines. Even though the Nissan Leaf was meant to be a mass market EV, the lack of government subsidies here in the Philippines meant that its price of entry would be exclusive only to the moneyed nature lovers. But why would they even buy a Nissan Leaf when it is just an overpriced Nissan hatchback? Well, let's put it this way, boys. You see, the Honda Civic Type R and the Subaru WRX STI are both at the same price level as the Nissan Leaf, but both of these sedans are just overpriced Japanese sports sedans. You see, all three of these vehicles appeal to the emotion, and while the Type R and the STI would appeal to your emotion with their growling engines, the Nissan Leaf appeals to your emotion of wanting to help save Mother Earth while going fast at the same time. Thanks for watching.